They come up with new ideas, constantly searching for new solutions. They join in groups, collaborate to create original projects. Co-creation is what inspires them, pushes them forward, making them stronger. Artistic individuals and collectives, authors of non-trivial ideas and projects, phenomenal theatrical productions and films. People of science and culture who once decided to amaze the world. All featured in documentary series Magic of Creation. Camerata Kazakhstan, 20 years of success. In today's program, secrets of virtuosity of the Camerata Kazakhstan. What makes a star? Gauhar Mirzabekova's School of Excellence. The word camerata was used in Renaissance period, referring to creative association of musicians, poets and art lovers gathering in salons. Camerata in Italian means companion, association. That was the period when poetry and classical music were put together for the first time. Later, Camerata prepared grounds for one of the most significant steps in the history of musical art, the birth of a new genre, the opera. One more thing about the old Camerata is that all these innovations were possible thanks to donations of generous patrons. This year, the brilliant team of the Camerata Kazakhstan celebrates its 20th season. The idea of creating a chamber orchestra belongs to Professor Gauhar Mirzabekova, a talented violinist and people's artist of the Republic of Kazakhstan. In my opinion, constantly thinking, am I successful or not, will never take you anywhere. Instead, you can simply do what you love to do. Find one thing that interests you the most and really dig into it. That is how you achieve success. I'm certain about it. My team has a true understanding of this. Gauhar Mirzabekova graduated from the Tchaikovsky Conservatory in Moscow. She studied violin and, while still a student, performed with the famous ensemble of the early music led by Sviatoslav Richter. Upon returning home, she became a soloist of the National Philharmonic Society and also started teaching at the conservatory. Her devotion to chamber music was found during the college years, but only in the late 90s was she able to finally embody this by founding a chamber ensemble. The Camerata Orchestra was founded in 1997, 20 years ago. I was able to finally sit down and look into the eyes of people selected for our orchestra. When we began to play, I immediately realized that something was off, that I couldn't get the sound I was hearing in my head. It wasn't that they played off-key. Every single one of them was a skilled musician with perfectly trained ears. There is a concept in chamber music called natural tune, something nobody heard about here back in those days. I realized that if I don't teach them, if we fail to learn to hear naturally, it will always sound off. Everyone will continue playing with their own intonation. Empty bar. 1, 2, 3.
Тогда, смотрите, значит, я уже в прошлый раз это говорила, нам нужно, нас мало, но нам нужно создать ощущение, как будто бы...
I told you last time. Again, there are just few of us, but we need to create an illusion that there are many. We don't need to play loud. It's not about that. Get a heavier stroke, elastic. It isn't written here. There is a difference in the score. Like ta-da, ta-da. This is how I hear it. The first bar is the leading one, the second subordinates. Therefore, give the first bar more weight. The second should be lighter. Let's try again.
3, 4.
Stop. For the last 20 years, this creative lab holds rehearsals every day. Each musical phrase is honed to perfection. Chamber music requires musicians to move in unison. It needs balance of sound, dialogue between groups of instruments. During long rehearsals, day after day, the artist's skills are polished to perfection. The atmosphere here in Camerata is very special. It's carefully generated and fueled by Gauhar Kurmanbekovna. She's a great musician. She has a bright and interesting personality. There are so many things to say about her. All of this is manifested in everything she does, in the work of the orchestra and during individual classes. When we are preparing our program, we submit out parts one by one. I think no other orchestra has similar practice. Every violinist, all viola players, contrabass. There are few of us, and we have no place to hide. Therefore, we have such strict requirements. We need to sound as one. Until you reach this sound, until you understand the way this chord must sound like, you can't grasp it at first. But then, when you finally hear this harmony, pristine, beautiful, then you begin to search for this sound in every chord. Did you hear your 16th? Prepare your right hands for the 16th. And... It has always been important for me to create such laboratory, to be able to sit here and dedicate myself completely, see what I am capable of. When the project just began, the general mood was pretty much low. Everyone thought, my God, what did I sign myself into? What does she want from us? There was an element of mistrust. What does she want to achieve, telling us to play 3 notes lower? It just sounds off. Is she out of her mind? I had to persuade every single one of them. But you can't push someone into believing you. You need to make sure they truly understand, really hear the sound of it when it's really working. The chord builds up like this, not horizontally, but vertically. With such purity of intonation, it reaches the skies. Gradually, I was able to achieve this. This ta-ta-ta is somewhat sticky. The stroke has to resemble the ball flying off the wall. The bow has to jump off the string. 1, 2, you need to get the sound out first. Let's try with violins only. And then we play this way. Following that same rule, the shorter the note, the slower it has to be pronounced. And lightly. Nice and easy. Do not swallow the sound. And... The ensemble consists of young people, graduates of the conservatory. Many of them are laureates of international festivals and competitions. They come here at the start of their careers, and after some time they fly around the world as stars. The first time I performed with Camerata Kazakhstan was 19 years ago, when I was just a kid. I think it was only a year since the orchestra was founded. I performed Rondo by Mozart. Abzal Muhiddinov, little known then, but one of the most famous conductors of the country later on, was conducting that concert. A year later, I performed Mozart's concert right here, in this room, and conductor was Alan Buribayev, also not very widely known in those days. Now he is a world-class star. This clearly indicates the role of this orchestra, Camerata Kazakhstan, in discovering new names and talents in the country. It plays a significant role in formation of the brightest musicians of the country. Those who know will agree with me. There is no one who can teach you things she can. I owe my achievements to her. This last one was much better. Second violins. If you could play a little lighter. I can hear a bell, and not in a good way. This friction make it a little lighter. The distinguishing characteristic of musicians of the Camerata is their performance and unquenchable thirst for living. The repertoire of the orchestra contains works of different eras, genres and styles. The audience can get enough of creative experiments of the team and quickly transform into devoted admirers of the talent of the chamber orchestra. We are constantly trying out new things. Sometimes it even has a sense of right, of going against the stream. This is typical of our orchestra. It has become our signature. This work takes all of your time, all of you. You become obsessed with it. Wherever you are constantly hearing it. This is the constant state for most of us. Pieces from different genres were performed at the Camerata Forte Festival, dedicated to the end of the Jubilee season. There was classical music, music from the cinema, for children, and crowd pleasers, the tunes of the Beatles. Virtuoso teams from France were also performing at the festival, proving that classical music can be boring.
How are you?
Fine,
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, Gaukar.
Hello.
Welcome,
Nice to
Marty. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you. Nice to see you.
Laurent.
Hugues, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Fine, fine. We are happy to be here.
L'aventure avec le Kazakhstan a commencé il y a longtemps puisque on a eu la chance de venir visiter.
We have been working together for more than 10 years. Recently, we created the Volta Quartet.
À visiter le pays, à manger des choses, à boire des choses. Et ensuite,
we named this project Quartet in 2014. It's been 3 years of constant development. We are touring all over the world with concerts in Kazakhstan too. Last year, we went to India and other countries. All this work resulted in recording the album with Mozart's creations for the quartet. 2 quartets will perform tomorrow, the Volta Quartet and the Leonese Quartet. The Volta Quartet will perform French music and a short piece by Schubert. It's going to be a classical performance, while the Leonese Quartet's repertoire is more eclectic, acquainting newbies of classical music by means of upbeat spectacle. This performance might actually be considered a spectacle, not just a concert. Although everything is built around symphonic music and quartet chords, the atmosphere created by artists is cheerful, poetic and even burlesque, with a well-staged mise en scène. Everything is orchestrated so that the public can laugh, cry and have fun, while listening and delving into the sounds of classical music.
De l'amusement, du rire, du spectacle, mais ça reste quelque chose de très exigeant.
27 exactement le thème, là.
Musicians from all over the world gathered at the gala concert. All of them are citizens of Almaty, working in different countries around the globe. One of their shared traits, apart from the attachment to the city of their childhood, is their love to the chamber orchestra Camerata Kazakhstan. I was in Astana this summer, accompanying my students to the Tchaikovsky competition. I met Gauhar Kurmanbekovna when my mother and I walked around the expo. She invited me to perform at the 20th anniversary gala, said I can play anything as long as it doesn't exceed 12 minutes. I proposed several options and we agreed on Sarasate. I know Gauhar Kurmanbekovna for a very long time. I took her classes when I was living in Almaty. We have very warm relationship, call each other up all the time. We never miss a chance to meet when she's in Moscow. Gauhar Kurmanbekovna told me about this project, said that there would be such concert and invited me and my sister. I greatly appreciate the fact that Gauhar Kurmanbekovna supports young musicians. This is a very responsible mission, especially in times when art in general and classical music especially meet so many difficulties. By supporting young musicians, inviting them to concerts, somehow promoting them, she sets a great example for all our colleagues. The mission of the orchestra, of its director in particular, is to support talented musicians. The common opinion is that this should be something that patrons of art should take care of. However, sometimes what talent really needs is not funding, but skill, honed by rehearsals and knowledgeable teacher. It may seem that rehearsals take too much time, but in fact we rehearse to ensure that our performance is as close to perfection as possible. Even the shortest piece might pose a challenge. It might have difficult places, and they need to be rehearsed in advance to make sure that everything goes flawless during the performance. On the one hand, it's not easy to be around such a significant figure. You want to match, but it's impossible to be on an equal footing with her. She has this intense personality, and she's a great musician, above all things. On the other hand, this is a great incentive to keep growing, to try your best. It's a strong motivation to continue development for every single musician. This is the reason behind the growth of most of us. It's a very good school. She has a talent of bringing together the right people and really get things she wants from musicians in short period of time, using her energy, her spirit and skill. The gala was a great success. The small hall of the Philharmonia wasn't enough to fit all admirers of the chamber orchestra. This case is not exclusive to the hometown of the orchestra. Audiences in different countries acknowledge and adore Camerata Kazakhstan and its music. Through this, they discover musical creative Kazakhstan. While performing Western classical music, when in home country, in foreign lands, the orchestra introduces its audience to Kazakh classical music. I really enjoy working so much because I'm a perfectionist. I don't accept mediocre results. I don't do average. On the one hand, it's a very challenging way of dealing with things. This is how you treat yourself. You hear it all the time, and the tuning fork of your life is on the highest pitch. That is how I treat my students too. There are many decades of creative work ahead of the collective. Their experience and creative potential makes us hopeful that people will have many more chances to come in contact with the magic of music.